everybody, I'm John Louis. I didn't show my name on the slide, but this is income inequality trends. Well, before we get into these trends, let's make sure we're on the same page about income inequality. Well, what is income inequality? For our topic, before we actually do anything with it, well, in short, income inequality is the gap between people who earn a lot of money and people who don't earn a lot of money. Well, there's a bunch of things that can cause this. Some people don't have access to education or good jobs. Wealth often gets passed down in families, making gaps even bigger. And sometimes systems and laws end up benefiting certain groups more than others. But why does this matter? Well, income inequality affects everyone, your chances of getting a good education, healthcare, or even a safe place to live. It also impacts social mobility, which is your ability to move up in life from one social class to another. So now, we know what the basic idea of what income inequality is. Well, let's get into the data. Oh, one more thing. Why is this such a big problem? So, for one, it makes it harder for people to improve their lives. If you're standing at the bottom, such as if you're living in poverty, it's tough to climb up when the gap is so big. It also creates social divisions and mistrust between groups. Think about how access to good schools or healthcare can vary depending how much money you have or where you live. On a bigger scale, inequality slows down economic growth, when only a small group of people have access to money. Let's look at the key trends from 2010 to 2025. From 2010 to 2025, income inequality has been on the rise, especially in developed countries such as the United States or Great Britain. New technologies and automation have been huge factors. They've created wealth for some, but left others struggling to keep up. And there's, as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic, which has made everything worse. Low-income workers were hit the hardest, and the economy fell out, which exposed about how unfair the system is. These trends make it pretty clear that we can't just ignore this issue any longer. Now let's dig into the data. This is where things get technical, but also really interesting. Data helps us see the bigger picture and where we can find patterns in, say, income inequality. We can look at things like how the income gap changes based on where people live, their education levels, or their demographic group. Predictive models can also give us an idea of what might happen in the future. By studying this data, we can figure out which policies and actions work to reduce inequality. But it's not all about numbers. It's about using those to create a change. Let's take a closer look into the data sets we're using. For this analysis, I've used data from reliable sources such as the US Census Bureau, the World Bank, and the OECD. These data sets cover a wide range of income inequality trends across different groups and countries. By combining information from these sources, we can get a detailed and accurate view of what's going on. The variety in data helps us draw conclusions which reflect real world situations. So here's a graph, Here's a graph of where we compared the United States income inequality to the global average. while global inequality has been pretty stable, the US has seen some major ups and downs, especially between 2014 and 2020. Well, this prediction shown here is a bit based on the mean trend, which has its limits. For example, it assumes that everything will stay the same, but obviously it didn't. Policy changes and anything unpredictable, such as COVID-19, no one knew that was going to hit, which made our economy, or global inequality, go down along with the United States. Well, what we have here are two lines. These represent the mean trends between the United States and the global inequality changes. This shows how important it is to keep updating our models and looking beyond the average trends, which wouldn't be accurate. Well, let's look into our key insights. So what have we learned? First, the gap between rich and the poor keeps getting bigger, even during times of economic growth. Well, this is why it's important to use data when solving problems such as this. Second, some of the fastest growing regions have the most inequality, such as, for example, the United States. And lastly, we need strong policies like fair taxes and investment in education, which in my data set, I've calculated. But to wrap things up, income inequality from 2010 to 2025 have been shaped by things such as globalization, technology, and the government policies. The data up here was used from US Bureau or US Census. This is why data proves that we need evidence to solve real world problems. And it's not just about science, it's about analyzing the problems and finding solutions to make it